I'm C Monster 51, and these are my Week 9 NFL predictions. Last week I went 8-5, and I am now 77, 43, and 1 on the season. Okay, let's start off with the Week 9 byes. Browns, Jets, Eagles, and Bucks all have bye weeks this week. Ravens against the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. I heard that Lamar Jackson might play in this game after missing, I don't know, like the last 3 games, I want to say. And if he returns, this should be an easy win against the Dolphins. And even after the Dolphins finally won last week, 34-10 against the Falcons, I still think this game might be a blowout if Lamar Jackson plays in this game. Okay, now let's move on to the Sunday games. Broncos versus Texans. The Texans had a good win last week against the 49ers, but I think the Broncos are the better team in this game. You know, you got Bo Nix playing at a high level. You know, it seems like the Broncos and the Colts are the 2 surprise teams in the AFC this year. Chargers versus Titans. This is another road game that where the road team is better than the home team. So I gotta pick the Chargers in this game. Colts versus Steelers. The Colts right now have the best record in the NFL. Right now they're 7-1, and then you got the Steelers that last Sunday night they struggled badly against the Packers in the second half on defense. In fact, they struggled in the last few games on defense, and even though they're the highest paid defense in the NFL, I don't know what's going on. You know, you got Mike Tomlin who's a defensive minded head coach. Who knows, he might be on a hot seat, to be honest. You know, you got a lot of Steelers fans who they don't want Mike Tomlin to be around anymore. You know, they want some fresh blood in there. Okay, but I'm gonna pick the Colts to win this game. Jaguars versus Raiders. Once again, another game where the road team looks like the better team in this game. Yeah, I'll go with the Jaguars. Okay, Chiefs versus Bills. This right here is definitely the game of the week. You know, I won't even say that. It might decide home field advantage because you got the Chiefs sitting in 3rd place in the AFC West, and even the Bills are in 2nd place in the AFC East. But you know, it could come down to a tiebreaker. You know, when it comes to playoff seeding. You know, let's say the Bills end up as the 3 seed. Who knows? They might have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs over the 3 seed or something like that. And I was also seeing that the Chiefs are 1.5 point favorites. 1.5 point favorites. You know, I thought this was going to be an upset, but the Chiefs are favored in this game, and I'm going to pick them to win this game too. It seems like when these two teams play, Mahomes gets the better of Josh Allen most of the time. Okay, Bears versus Bengals. The Bears are 2.5 point favorites against the Bengals. And this will be my upset of the week. The reason being that you don't know what you're going to get from the Bears for every week. One week they do well and the other they don't. And I think the Bengals take out their frustrations. Despite losing last week to the Jets. So I'll pick the Bengals to win this game. Falcons versus Patriots. The Falcons got blown out last week against the Dolphins and at home too in Atlanta. So this should be an easy win for the Patriots, to be honest. And then you even had Kirk Cousins starting last week too. I don't know if he'll start this week as well. Panthers versus Packers. Let's talk about the Packers. How they played last week against the Steelers. Last week, they were kind of iffy in the first half against the Steelers. They were losing 16-7. And then they were committing a lot of flags on defense too. You saw Keyshawn Nixon was strolling on defense. Hey, who knows him? He's probably their weak link on that defense. But then came the second half and I don't know, they made a lot of adjustments and they ended up outscoring the Steelers 28-9. And Jordan Love, he had probably his best game of the season overall. And you even had Michael Parsons, who had 1.5 sacks last week. Oh, and you even had Tucker Kraft, who had 7 receptions for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. Man, if he doesn't win Player of the Week and on the offensive side of the ball, I don't know what to tell you. Man, he was amazing. He should definitely be in the Pro Bowl this year. But with all that being said, I'll pick the Packers to win this game. And heck, it'll even be Jordan Love's 27th birthday too. This week. Okay. Vikings versus Lions. This is an NFC North showdown. So pretty much this game could go either way. Since they're division opponents. It wouldn't surprise me if the Vikings won this game. But since this game is in Detroit, I'll pick the Lions to win this game and stay in second place in the NFC North. 49ers versus Giants. The 49ers lost last week to the Texans. And I think they bounce back and win this week against the Giants. Especially because the Giants lost Cam Scatterbo for who knows how long. He had a dislocated ankle. It was a pretty bad injury. He even got carted off the field. Saints versus Rams. Yeah, I'll go with the Rams. Spencer Rattler got benched last week for Tyler Shough. I know all about Tyler Shough. He had a lot of injuries when he played at Texas Tech. I thought he was a pretty good quarterback when he played at Texas Tech. Okay, and for the Sunday night game, we have Seahawks versus Commanders. I'm not sure if Jaden Daniels is gonna play in this game, but I don't even think it'll matter. I still think the Seahawks win whether he plays or not. And for the Monday night game, we have Cardinals versus Cowboys. The Cowboys got their rear ends kicked last week against the Broncos. I think they play a lot better this week, and they'll win. That's how it's been for them this year. One week they play really down, and then they come back the next week and play a lot better, and win too. So yeah, they'll be at 500 after they win on Monday. And looks like that's all the Week 9 NFL games. Now let me know your predictions. See y'all later.